Welcome to Single Tree Nation. I'm your man, Charlie Eblin, the host and owner of Single Tree Woodfire Barbecue. We are here to build community through undeniable hospitality, storytelling, and the perfect plate of barbecue. Welcome back to Single Tree Nation, guys. I'm your man, Charlie Eblin. And as always, we have our illustrious co-host, Mr. Derry Wells, with us today.
What is up? I never know if to look at you or the camera, so
you can look wherever you want to.
I feel like
sir.
a rookie. Like I've never done this before. We're on 100 plus episodes, and I don't know where to look.
101
That's
episode. It. So Mr. Cowboy Kent is our special guest today. We are super stoked to have him. I can't wait to dive into the story.
My honor to be here.
I appreciate it.
I'm going to ask a quick question. Are you at your home place? Is that your decoration work? Man, you have got a good setup. Well done.
We do a lot of videos at the wagon we have here in New Mexico, but sometimes we cook just right here too.
Okay.
I love it. Now you have your hands in just about everything from what I understand.
Well, they've always been busy. An old man on a ranch told me a long time ago, he said, you can tell a lot about a man by what he wears on his head, what he rides, and how many calluses he has on his hands. He said, because lazy people don't get them. He said, you keep working long enough. He said, you might wear them off, but it'll take a while.
That's rich. About as true as it gets.
Yes, it is. Yeah. You said that you've been doing it about your whole life. Yeah. I'm the one that does a little research. Charlie doesn't, but I do. And so you grew up with father or uncle somebody, and you started Chuck Wagon even back then?
Yeah, I mean, we was raised in Southwest Oklahoma, right there on the banks of the Red River. And from a farm and ranch operation, my dad taught me what it was to be a cowboy and work 19 hours a day. And my mother taught me that you cook what you love for the ones you love. And she started me in the kitchen when I was about 9 years old. And it was really nice to be in there when it was 20 degrees outside and they're saddling up. But when I had to go to washing dishes, I'm thinking I'm gonna get back in the saddle. But it was something I got to do that was more like a dream come true. You know, I worked some of the greatest old timers that were great cowboys that stood tall as giant oak trees. They were like legends, and I got to be around them every day. Learned some of the values that they taught me, not only about horses and cattle, but also about God, country, and people. And we try to instill that in whatever we do. And I don't know, went to rodeo in there for a while and quit cooking when I was about 19 to 30. And
what kind of rodeo?
I rode bulls forever. You know,
okay.
The good Lord blessed me. I didn't get hurt, made a good living. And then I went to guiding elk hunters in the Gila Wilderness in 81.
Look, you got me interested on bull riding now. So let's pause. How do you go from cooking and making some delicious foods and you're having a great time and you're loving that to, hey, let me go get on this couple 1,000-pound bull and see if he can kick my butt?
Well, a lot of it was my oldest brother. An oldest brother will help a younger brother get killed off at any time in his life if he can. And,
amen.
He started me practicing when I was about 9 or 10 years old, but he'd just tie your feet under something like you catch an old cow out in a pasture or a steer. He'd tie your feet under him. You wouldn't even have nothing to hang on to. And I said, I don't think this is the way they do it, Randy. And he said, it'll teach you balance. Well, after you get your head kicked in about 20 times, you learn either some balance or this ain't your job no more, you know. But
I don't know if I did a good job as an older brother now based on what Randy did with him. Like, I think I failed my brother a little bit.
He seems to be doing all right.
Yeah.
He was a great cowboy too, a great horse trainer. They would always saddle up a lot of times when I was young, and he wouldn't let me go with some of his and his friends. And I got up and lofted the barn one time, and they was riding out, and I shot his horse in the butt with a BB gun. And he got bucked off, and I thought it was a really good deal till he chased me down and roped me and tied me upside down naked in a tree. And he said, if you tell Mama, I'll whoop your butt. And I said, you actually think Mama's going to think I did this to myself?
Right.
So you need to rethink that situation.
That is outstanding.
I can only imagine the fun with two brothers on a ranch. You're in Oklahoma, and just the stories that, like you just said, that invokes.
That's
That's awesome.
So there was never a dull day.
Yeah.
What about bull riding intrigued you? Was it the challenge? Was it learning the skill? Was it just a part of what you grew up around?
Well, my dad, they're in Hollis, Oklahoma. We had a rodeo for like 64 years. And my dad was all around cowboy in 1952. My oldest brother, Randy, was in 72, and I was in 82. You know, it's something that was sort of in our blood. We grew up riding bucking horses, all the time anyway. But I always just admired the bull riders that were back then when I was 18, 19 years old, 20, and that was Jim Shoulders and Freckles Brown, Larry Mahan, Murtis Deitman, it wasn't so much about the big money that they have now. It was about a family, a group of people that come together, and they love to ride bulls, and they can knock hair off of them if they wanted to.
That's impressive.
I love just the brotherhood that you just spoke to. The fact that you can drop all those names, and that's very much what I see out of the cowboy culture, if you will.
Yeah.
It's yes, there's money to be made now, and with all of those bigger ones, but the fact that y'all still stick together, and my mother, she when we were growing up, 8 Seconds was like one of her favorite movies.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you the number of times I've had to sit that and watch that with her, and like it's one, right? Oh, it's a great movie. She always gets upset though that they left off his life after the rodeo when he kind of gave his life to the Lord and all that. She's like, they left off the good part. You got to hear from Mom about that part. But it's just Lane Frost had such a unique. I think he almost made it common. And so for you to rattle off those names that well and just the brotherhood that y'all have there, that's just a beautiful thing. So and a lot of people just don't understand.
It was not so much about the money. Sure, I made a living at it, and that was back in the 80s. But when my dad won that in 52, he got a big old silver cup trophy, said all around champion cowboy, and he got $17. When my brother won it, he won a buckle and $242. And when I won it, I won a buckle and $842, but it was, I don't know. I think it's something that gets in your blood, that I won't say that I craved it all the time, but I quit riding when I was 37 because the ground got really hard.
Yeah.
I could still ride bulls, but I couldn't bounce anymore. I sort of looked like a yard dart out there in the ground.
Have you ever tried to ride a bull or anything?
Heck no. Look, now I've ridden horses my whole life.
No, doesn't count.
And I've gotten bucked off a horse.
We
tried. I ain't never tried to get on a bull.
We tried to ride an old steer in it was still in the chute when me and Jonathan Lee in high school. Oh, his nickname was Cowboy. That was a buddy of ours. We grew up, and it did not go well. And I knew right then I had all the respect for anybody that ever did it because I got about a half leg on, and that was it. So anyhow, that's my story. That's all I got. So
there was an old man explained it to me that was a judge for rodeos many years ago, and he'd tell them young kids, they'd say, I'm get older, I'm gonna be a bull rider. And he said, get your mouth full of marbles and put them in your mouth. And he said, every time you get on once, spit a marble out. He said, when you run out of marbles, he said, you'll be a bull rider. He said, because you ain't got nothing left in your brain no more.
That's it. That's awesome. It's just old cowboy wisdom. They just knew what to do with it.
That's the truth.
That's it.
It's the truth. Look, I got thrown off of one horse.
You were done.
And I was good.
That's awesome. Look, you have, from the chuck wagon side of things, you've kind of made a name for yourself with all things that. And then that parlays into some of the TV stuff. You've been on several different shows with Bobby Flay and the Food Network and stuff. And so we had a guest on. We had Kerry Bringle on, Peg Leg Porker Barbecue.
Yeah.
And I had to give him a hard time. I said, do you still remember the recipe you made? And he goes, oh, yeah. Like, he knew exactly what he did to get kicked off.
Yeah.
I think that was the Barbecue Showdown. And,
no, it was Chop Grill Master, because he was on the same year I was out there.
Right. Do you look back at stuff like that and think, hey, I wish I'd done this, done that differently? Or do you just roll with it because of the fun you had and you got to meet some great folks and keep on going? Do you ever think back about it?
Oh, I do. I mean, when we did that, they took 15 people that they called chefs and one cowboy, because they were filming at old Tucson where they filmed High Chaparral, the old Western series. And they wanted somebody to be sort of, cowboy and play the part out there. they didn't think I'd go far, but I went to the finals.
There you go.
Know? And ended up getting beat in the finals, but it was all right. But you look back, especially the night after the finals, and you think, what if, coulda, shoulda, woulda, you know. But if you let stuff like that get in your mind and stay, it'll haunt you forever.
Sure.
You know, you go out there every day, whatever you're doing in life, and you put forth your best effort, give it all you got. You don't have no regrets. You know, you just keep going.
Man. Wisdom.
I mean,
I'm telling you, the
the whole
Cowboys
show's
have
just
the
gonna
best
be
wisdom.
great.
It's just the Cowboys. Look, tell me another profession that sacrifices what they do, have a love for nature because they are so involved in it. They have just the animal world that they're involved in, and then you have to learn from it. And the Cowboy wisdom is just a whole separate, like it's its own thing. So
I think one of the things I love the most about that is how simple it is, though.
100%.
Yeah,
It's just true.
You know, I told a judge out there at CHOP that time, Mark Murphy. He said, you know, whatever we put in that basket, and you don't even know what it is, but you just keep on cooking it. And he said, you make it simple. I said, life is simple. I said, y'all trying to complicate it with food. I said, we don't do that where I'm from.
I love it.
Amen.
My favorite thing of yours, and I'm going to dip all the way in. This is where I'm going to fangirl a little bit. I've been excited about this show for a long time. I'm sorry. And so your cat head biscuits.
Yeah.
I would, the other day I was asking my students if I could know facts about my life looking back, and I grew up in the construction world, and I was like, the number of board feet that I've cut through a table saw, I'd love to know that. Did you even have a guesstimation of the number of cat head biscuits, or any biscuit really, that you've made in a cast iron skillet? Like that is no.
You couldn't count them. You know,
No,
you could line people up from one end of the United States to the other and still wouldn't be. I got them outranked on biscuits because there was a festival we did for 7 years straight in Missouri, and I would make 200 biscuits every morning.
Oh my!
For that festival, you know, and then time you do that 7 days a week for 7 weeks, that's a lot of biscuits. Then you take in 38 years of cooking in a Dutch oven and making biscuits nearly every meal you cooked. I don't even eat a biscuit anymore.
I was going to ask that. Is that have you weaned yourself off of it? You just ran yourself dry?
Yeah, I mean, we did a video this week about, it's called the Cowboy Biscuit Bible. That'll come out in a couple of weeks, and it's about the biscuits that we've made that I really thought were the favorites. And, you know, it was a sourdough biscuit, a cat head biscuit, the 2-ingredient biscuits. But if I'm going to go in here in the house and make some biscuits for me and Shan, I'm going to get a whack-em can, and I'm going to open them up, and I'm going to whack them.
That's right.
And, you know.
That's right.
It's
now, does she make you do it? Because my wife won't open the can. She doesn't like the little pop at the end. I have to do
she
that.
don't mind.
Okay, good. There you go. Well done. That is fantastic. You've got a show coming out. Correct me if I'm wrong. Cast Iron Cowboy.
Yes, sir.
Is that right? On the Outdoor Channel.
Yep.
What's the premise of that? Are you just cooking? Is it a cooking show? Is it outdoor? All things outdoor show? Western show? What's the background on that?
You know, we dreamed this up 7 years ago, and there was a producer out of California called me, and we get a lot of producers that call, and I usually tell them, "You're a car salesman, you know. I ain't got. Y'all have a good day. Bye," and hang up on them. And this guy was persistent. He just kept calling back, and he said, "If you could have any show on any network, what would it be?" And I told him sort of the premise of what we wanted out of it, which is to highlight the American cowboy and the American rancher across the United States and show their history, the way that they raise beef, what they got to do to get it done. And then usually we cook a recipe that's either been with that family or something that we really think ties into that ranch, whether it's their beef or something that they're raising. And we never did want it, me and Shan, to be about us. We wanted to show some of these more historic places. I mean, one of the ranches where we start the first season is the J.A. Ranch there by Clarendon, Texas. It's the birthplace of Charles Goodnight, to where he invented the chuck wagon, to some family-owned ranches in Nebraska, to the Bighorn Basin there in Wyoming, to one of the most iconic ranches in Nevada, the Spanish Ranch in Maggie Creek. Some ranches 20,000 acres, some of them 750,000 acres. But when you go from 91 degrees to 101 degrees to 3 below zero, but if they can work cattle in it, we can cook in it. And
Nice.
I think that's what we're trying to get across. But there's a message there for everybody in the show, and that is, hey, we're going to keep it simple. We're going to feed cowboys just the same way old Cook did going down the trail. We just have a lot better grocery store than he used to.
That's exactly right. A little nice to have a pantry to go to, isn't it? Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's great.
She was about to sign. The payments looked fine until I ran the numbers. They were overcharging her by $5,412. One call later, we flipped the script. Better price, lower rate, $5,000 saved. This happens every week. Before you sign, call me. The 615negotiator.com. I find what they don't want you to see.
It seems like you've taken your career from being a cowboy to turning it back into being able to tell stories and telling other people's stories, which really intrigues me because I started my restaurant to become the Nike of barbecue. And to me, that means that we help people.
Yeah.
Right. Nike helps people run faster and be stronger, work out harder, rejuvenate to work out harder and better the next day. So we took up that slogan as to help build and grow community through storytelling, barbecue, and hospitality. So how are you going to take what you've started in this new show and continuously grow that to really kind of help grow your community?
Well, a lot of people see a cowboy as something they've seen in a Western movie, something that maybe they've seen pictures of. I did an interview not long ago with a lady out of Chicago, and she said, your kind of people are dying out. It doesn't really offend me, but I want to know what kind of people them are. I said, ma'am, we're not dying out. You just can't see us from the interstate going 70 miles an hour. We're still out there. If there's cows and there's cowboys and there's remote country, there's an old Cook somewhere. And, the good Lord has blessed me and Shan so much. We get to do what we want to do, and I get to do it with the one I love more than anything every day. And that is either create content about cooking with a chuck wagon or feeding cowboys on a working ranch or just telling somebody a story. Because when you can relay history that started way back in the 1870s on cattle drives and pass it on to another generation, we're preserving that history. And I always was taught this in my life. People read stories. Don't be reading the story. Be part of the story or what the story's about. And that's the way we try to look at life every day, because every day's a blessing. If you wake up above ground and somebody ain't throwing dirt in your face, it is a great day to be alive.
That's right. That's right. You quickly referenced the historical side of things.
Yeah.
And just in a quick chat with you here today, and then what you can easily see on a lot of your content, you have a very good hand at the historical side of things.
Yeah.
What is it about knowing where you came from that helps you in this modern day of all the social media and stuff still know where you want to go?
Well, I think a lot of it starts back with, don't be something you're not. Just be who you are and be real. People can spot a counterfeit 100 miles away. Shines like a silver dollar in a goat's butt. You don't never miss it. But if you'll keep it real every day and let people know that they can count on you to be the same every time, you make an impression on somebody's life. We get so many people that reach out to us, servicemen and women, veterans, everybody that say, hey, please don't quit what you're doing. You're making a difference in life. You never know when you may have that chance to help somebody. You may not be able to shake their hand right then, but you're going to get to help them out one way, one form, or one fashion, and it's a great thing to be able to know that you played a part in somebody else's life to make it better. And that's what we're put on earth to do. And that's what we try to do. We have a flag that flies with that Studebaker wagon, and it's an 1876 Studebaker. we were shooting videos 3 or 4 years ago in the summer in Southwest Oklahoma, and you get burned out. I mean, you start at 5:30 in the morning. By 6:30, 7 o'clock, standing by a fire, it's 120 degrees already, and it's hard to make things look pleasant, you know. And Jen does all the editing, all the filming, and she's still at the computer that night about 11 o'clock. And I said, you know, darling, I said, I'm about to burn out. We're gonna have to take 2 or 3 days off. And she said, I hear you. I try to get up every morning about 4:35. Open that laptop computer and answer as many comments as I can on YouTube before we get busy. And the first one that morning was, good morning, Mr. Rollins. This is Lance Corporal Cody Childers. I'm currently stationed in Afghanistan. What we did today wasn't pleasant, but there was 9 of us gathered around a laptop computer and you made us feel like we were home. Please don't quit what you're doing. You make a difference in life. I woke her up at 5 o'clock that morning and I said, we got a film, sugar. Somebody's counting on it. 3 weeks later, I get a call from his mother, which I'd never known in my life. And she said, I'm sorry to inform you, but we lost Cody to an IAD. The flag that we flew over his service in Washington, D.C., he wanted you to have. I said, ma'am, I can't take that. She said, you will take it. I tell you that story not to make you sad, but to tell you that you make a difference in someone's life every day. Be real. Be who you are, and you'll make a difference.
Well, it's been a great episode for everybody. You just nailed it home right there.
Ken, I'm gonna tell you, sir. I work real hard every single day to impact my community.
Yeah.
As hard as I possibly can every day.
Yeah.
And I think it's as a leader, as a business owner, as somebody that is passionate about their community. It is our responsibility to help build and grow and impact
Yes,
every
sir.
single day, right?
Yes, sir.
And I just want you to know that you are filling me up with joy just sitting here talking to you for a minute. And if anybody hadn't told you that you've made their day, you have made mine today.
Well,
and I appreciate you.
Well, my daddy taught me a long time ago. He said, you know, you and your brother can walk into a pen of 100 horses and pick a good one out. He said, what are you looking for? I said, a soft eye. I can see in both of y'all from this far away from this computer screen, there's a soft eye in both of you. It works in dogs, people, children, horses, everybody. And if a man got a soft eye, he got a soft heart. And that's what it takes.
Man,
Yes, sir.
like, I'm literally on the verge of like getting worked up here. Like that's goodness gracious. Well,
Look, I'm going to ask you something, and this is, and feel free to tell me you're too busy, but I am in the process of putting together, and nobody knows this, so this is crazy that I'm saying this on air, but I'm in the process. Our city does not have a Veterans Day parade.
Yeah.
And I am in the process of putting together a Veterans Day parade for 2026. I've just submitted the application. I ain't even gotten it approved through the city. But I would absolutely love it if you would join us for that parade and help me cook.
It would
at
be
the end of it, we're going to do I'll do a big cook, and we'll celebrate. We're actually going to, and we hadn't even announced it for our nonprofit, but our nonprofit is going to name the Veteran of the Year that day.
Yeah.
They're going to be the Grand Marshal, and we're going to celebrate them. But I want to do a big cook afterwards at my restaurant. And I would
be sure and
love it.
email me and give me them
will.
dates. I'll write you down on the calendar, brother, because
Yes, sir.
we owe them people so much.
Yes,
You
sir.
know, it's one of them deals. We just got through filming an episode not long ago at Fort Wainwright in Alaska. And I was seeing all these young men, these soldiers, men and women, you know, out there on this flight line with them Apache helicopters. And I look around at myself and I'm thinking, what have I done with my life? You know, look at these, you know, look what they're doing. And I was visiting with a veteran up there, and I was telling him that story, and he said, hold on there a minute, cowboy. He said, do you know what you and your wife do for people? You have reached so many people, so many veterans, so many servicemen and women. Don't think you ain't done your part. I said, yeah, but them kids is 18, 19, 20, 21 years old. I said, I still trying to figure out how to ride a bull at that time, not fly a helicopter.
Yeah.
But
I love it.
But no, you just let us know, my friend, because we're always trying to help that part out. Like I say, we can never pay back the debt that them people give to us.
Yes, sir.
That's gorgeous.
Yes, sir.
I get a chance to hang out with Charlie quite a bit at his restaurant and different events. And every time he starts talking about all the veterans that are in attendance, I am not a veteran. And I have to take it back on and just for a second, taking all of what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
And cause even though they think, oh, it's just little hometown get together, I see it as a non-military member. I see it a lot differently. And I'm always thankful for what they do.
Yeah.
That switching gears a little bit, I did find there was a year where you won the Oklahoma Storyteller of the Year. Was that correct?
Yeah, it was nationwide. It was the Academy.
I tried to shortchange you.
Academy of Western Artists. They had this deal a long time ago. It's come back now. But 1 year I was Chuck Wagon Cook of the Year, and then 1 year I was Cowboy Humorist of the Year. You know, the governor one time proclaimed me the official Chuck Wagon Cook of Oklahoma, and when he did, I asked him, I said, don't think that gives you a free ride. You're not going to eat free at the wagon.
I was going to go back to the storytelling side because there are people that can tell stories well. Yeah. And there are some people that just need to be consumers and just listen to the story. And that's okay. What makes a quality storyteller?
Well, to me, and being around all them old timers, and especially my brother, most stories come from nearly someone getting killed every time. You know,
okay.
It was either a bad wreck or something like that. My brother talked me into more stuff than I ever got out of in my life. You know, he told me that I was going to be an Olympic skier one time and ski off the top of a 2-story house, and it wasn't going to hurt. And it hurt like hell when I hit the ground. It did, you know. It's just one of them deals. You think one of these days maybe you'll outgrow the stupidity that I had when I was 7, 8, 9 years old. But you keep looking at your older brother and seeing what he has accomplished as a cowboy and a horse trainer, you know, and I'm thinking, surely he knows what he's talking about. But right. I know at this time in my life, he didn't, you know.
He made a good run with it though, didn't he?
Yeah. You know, I was very fortunate. 1 year I got to go to the storytelling festival there in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. And perform there. And I met some great people, you know, and I can't even remember half of them's name, but I just love to sit on the porch with some of them old timers that was up there and not hear the stories that they were telling on stage, but the stories they were telling on that porch.
Right.
You know, that was the best.
Get them out from behind the microphone and see what they share then.
Yeah.
He's not as polished and not as pretty. So that's where the real stories are. Charlie always likes to tell us about the times growing up around the campfire. At the old farm. And I'm always like, that's the stories I want to hear. And we had a chance to hear from his father for one of our episodes. And same thing. He just, those stories that you can't tell with the microphone on are the stories that really kind of drive and shape who we are. And then we clean it up just to present it to everybody.
Yeah.
So
we did cooking schools forever. I was trying to get more chuck wagon cooks for ranchers more than anything else. And I did one time. I got brave and did one for an all women's class. And I used to just take 4 students. It was like the same aspect as it would be on a working ranch. We'd get up every morning at 4 o'clock. You'd start to work. You didn't quit till way after dark, you know. And one of these ladies, her husband had sent her down there because her husband was one of the biggest game outfitters for wild game in probably the northern hemisphere on the half end up there from Montana through Canada and Wyoming and everything. And he said, he sent me down here to learn to cook in a Dutch oven because we want to do remote camps. And I said, I'll teach you all I know, ma'am, in 4 days. I said, because I don't know a whole lot. She said, I'm sure you do. But after we'd get through every day and the rest of them women would be in a teepee asleep, she would be over at the wagon and she'd say, I want to know what you ain't told people. And I said, ma'am, them things just come out. I said, I don't know what they are. I said, if you're a chuck wagon cook, everybody has a plan A, B, C. Ours goes to X, Y, Z. I said, because Mother Nature will throw you a curveball every day. I said, I've cooked in hailstorms, blizzards, had a lightning struck one end of the wagon many years ago on a ranch. We've been drowned out, blowed away, snowstorms. But I always look at it as, hey, there's horseback in it. I can surely cook in it. Right.
When's the last time, or do you still go out on actual live ranches and do anything, or is it always return to the comfort of a bed at night, or how do you still sharpen those skills?
Well, especially with this series, since it's happened, when it's filmed, it's like a 1-day process is what you're seeing finished product, but it's usually a 3 to 4 day event. And we're staying in a teepee every night. Now, I'll tell that producer and that crew, and I love them dearly, Rabbit Foot Productions. I'll say, I got plenty of teepees. Y'all can stay out here if you want. And some of the more remote places that we've been that have been 80 miles to the nearest town, they sure stay. They'll make a hand.
Okay.
But we just finished 2 episodes for the 2nd season in Montana and Wyoming, and every night was in a teepee and in a bedroll, and I can remember when I started this years ago and sort of made a name for myself cooking for ranches, that you could stay busy from February to really October, start in South Texas, go north, and you'd be 200 nights away from home. It wasn't all together, it'd be strung out. And I remember coming in one time, and I've been gone about 7 weeks. My mother said, "Did you miss me?" And I said, "I sure did, Mom." I said, "But I missed a stand-up shower, sit-down toilet, and carpet worse than that."
A sit-down toilet. That's a perspective I hadn't thought about here recently. That's
Yes, sir.
the finer
Yes,
things in
sir.
life. That's
You got a mac or beans?
I do, but I feel like it's not a very good one, and I don't usually. So it's funny that we talk about the comforts that you're used to. Mac or beans is our this or that. So I feel like I know your answer to the first half. You walk into a barbecue restaurant or an open chuck wagon, we've got the opportunity for mac and cheese or some sort of style barbecue baked bean. Which one of those two are you going to choose?
I'm going to buy them both.
I see.
Have you ever had a
That's what I
barbecued
thought.
baked bean macaroni and cheese casserole?
I haven't. No,
It is pretty good dining.
sounds like you need to come up with something there. So
It sounds like I need a recipe.
the other half I wanted, growing up with the chuck wagon, you've obviously done well with that and not only honed that skill but kept that tradition alive. But there's still got to be, I'm guessing, the comforts of cooking in the kitchen. So if somebody wakes you up in the morning and says, "Hey, you got one meal to cook today, you want a chuck wagon or do you want to go cook in the kitchen?" Which one are you going to pick?
I'll pick that wagon every day.
Yeah.
That's where my heritage is. I feel comfortable cooking in anything in the world. But when I'm at that wagon, I have the best view out my kitchen window every day. I've seen things that people will dream about that most folks will never get to see.
Yeah.
But it's something about God created this universe and he gave me the chance to be in it and to do what I do. Hey, every day's a holiday.
I love it. Every day's a holiday. What's Rodney Scott's every day's a good day?
And tomorrow will be better.
And tomorrow will be better. I like that. Yeah. That just the perspective. I think a lot of folks that just have in the barbecue world, but people that cook over open fire or just out, you've got a different hold on nature because your restaurant doesn't stop because it rains one day. Cowboys
I
don't
did an
quit
event.
because it's storming or whatever. And
We did an event a couple of days ago. It's called Downtown on the Farm.
okay,
And I cooked 150 Cornish hens and an elote, and we had some other dishes that some other guys did, but I'm cooking away, and all of a sudden it's just pouring down rain.
pouring rain. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that do to your temperatures?
Oh, it drops them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he had to bring the friend on. That's it.
Look we were just talking about schnauzers. Look at that little fella right there.
Sorry about that, but the guard dog sounded the alarm.
That's
I get
right.
it. Hey,
That's
I
it.
understand. Yeah.
We've got
Vicious.
a guard dog running around here too, and so
Yeah.
we understand how they work.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that just means they're doing their job, earning their keep.
For years and years, we had a beagle for 14 years. Shannon, whichever dog we got's been a rescue. And that beagle, we have like 3.5 million subscribers on YouTube. He probably had 33 million before he passed away.
Oh,
People
wow.
loved that dog, and he was always sneaking a bite off the table or stealing something, grabbing a whole chicken, a stick of butter, And last year, he passed June the 7th. We had to put him down. He had cancer. A week later, we lost a house out here in Ruidoso, New Mexico, to a wildfire. The day after that, we started filming for this series. And I always told Shannon, I said, the good Lord will never put on you more than you can tote. And I said, you need to throw it on me. You put it on me.
Yeah.
And so we needed to do a tribute to this beagle. So we had these T-shirts made called the Beagle Life, had his picture on there with some sunglasses. And we told him all the proceeds from these T-shirt sales will go to the Lincoln County Humane Society here in Ruidoso, New Mexico. I told Shannon, I said, you better call them people and warn them. I said, because something finna happen. And we were there 3 weeks later and took them a check for $57,000.
Wow.
Oh man,
And that beagle is still making money for them. But
that's outstanding.
I was cruising your website today and I saw the T-shirt.
Yeah.
And I was wanting to ask you that. So I'm glad you brought that story up, because I was trying to make the correlation to where, because it was out of left field in your marketplace there. You've got all your food products and the coffee. And like I said, I'm partaking of the coffee as soon as it arrives. But I saw the shirt and I was like, where's that going? And so to you to make a difference like that, that's amazing. We, Douglas Keene, and that he had a huge thing with over in Southern California that he worked with. And when you realize just the impact that people have, I think so many people see y'all as professional chefs or TV celebrities or whatever it is. You're really just everyday people that are doing something a little different with what you've been given. And I just love that, I've got my 2 dogs. You said stealing a stick of butter. Huckleberry will take a stick of butter right off the counter. He has I'm paper and everything, y'all. Like, he does not care. I think that's beautiful. And for y'all to be able to turn around and give that. And you knew, even in the midst of you losing your own home, that you still had the opportunity to think about that. And that just, I think that speaks to your selflessness. And I think that goes to a lot of what makes people who love and serve people, the ability to love and serve people, is just that opportunity to be selfless. So, well done, sir. Well done.
Well, we're here to give back. And that's what we're going to do most of the time if we ever get a chance. As long as the good Lord's given us air, we'll just keep going.
Yeah, your guard dog, she or he's about to give it up. So.
Oh yeah, it's been a rough day for him.
I don't know how much guarding's going to happen now that you've got.
What's the little fella's name?
This is Major.
Major.
We rescued him about 3 years ago. We found him in a pound. Shan was feeding them dogs because nobody else was much doing anything for them, and we went back check on him that night because he's supposed to get down below 0, and somebody had thrown him in a kennel. He didn't have no hair. We didn't even know what he was, and we brought him home. And if she had her way, we'd probably have 750 dogs.
Right. That's right.
But I walked in there one morning in the kitchen, and he's just sitting there looking at me like, if you just give me one chance.
That's it.
And which he's really not mine. He's Shan's. He'll be mine when Shan's gone.
Well,
but
I tell you right now, he don't look like he's not yours. So that's
But he goes everywhere with us. We didn't give him no training. We'll put him in a little one of them zip up boxes, slide him under a seat on the airplane. And you never could have done that to the beagle because he weighed 50 pounds and he'd bite everybody he's seen. He was not customer friendly most of the time.
He was just doing his job. Don't hate on that. So that's fantastic.
I love that. That is outstanding.
Beautiful.
Yeah. That's great.
It's been a dog episode kind of day.
It has been.
We've recorded a couple episodes a day, and so the dog stories are strong today, and I'm loving it. Makes me want to go home and pet on mine a little bit. So
I've always told people, I said, if you don't know the love of a dog, you're missing out in life.
Yeah,
because they're always thinking of you before they're thinking of themselves.
100%. I tell you, I've seen different studies, and who knows if this stuff is real or not, but they talk about how important you are in a dog's life.
Yeah.
And it makes me feel bad that I ever disciplined my dog when he was a puppy. And I know it helped him, but and they need correction or whatever, just like kids.
Yeah.
But man, when he looks at you with those big old sad eyes, I'm like, if you don't quit, please don't do this to me right now.
Stop you're getting me.
Right, exactly. So I definitely get it. So you've got this new episode, new series going with the Outdoor Channel. What's on the horizon down the way? What do you ever see a period where you're slowing down and trying to kind of just enjoy the homestead, or is it just is part of being on the go just who you are?
Well, I've seen, and I don't mean this bad towards anybody, but I've seen too many old timers in my country that quit what they're doing and they didn't live long. I'm 68 years old. I'll try to work a 20-year-old man to death every day. I told Shan the other day, I said, I got this life insurance deal figured out. She said, what do you mean? I said, the good Lord will help me out, so I'm going to cook for my own funeral. And,
there you go. There you go.
99 years old. I said, you can charge them $200 a plate to get in, or you can let them in free and charge them $500 a plate to get out. Don't
That's
make
it.
no difference.
That's it. That's it.
But no, I don't see really slowing down. We used to years ago when I was cooking by myself. If I wasn't on a ranch, I catered somewhere every weekend.
Okay.
And we don't do much of that. We still do some for the veterans or special children's deals, something like that, But a lot of it, we'll go right out here in the White Mountain Wilderness behind the house and shoot a video with that wagon. And the new series sort of keeps us busy. But I just look forward to every day, And if you're not challenged in life, you never change. And I want to challenge every day.
How much of that's rooted just in growing up a cowboy?
I'd say 80% of it.
Okay.
At least. I got bucked off a lot when I was little because I didn't weigh much. And them old timers love to throw you on something that buck is Sunday afternoon entertainment after church, but they taught me one thing, and that is you never give up.
Right.
The glass is always half full here. It's never half empty.
I love that. I love it. That's outstanding.
What's going on, guys? I'm your man, Charlie Eblin, the owner of Single Tree Barbecue, located right here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, 2805 Old Fort Parkway. We're open Tuesday through Saturday from 11 until 8 p.m. and on Sundays from 11 to 3. If you want some smoked wings all the way to some Texas-style smoked brisket, y'all come see us. We have some amazing lunch specials during the week and outstanding barbecue right here in the Middle Tennessee area. We can't wait to see you guys.
It's wonderful.
What you I feel like you're mesmerized by some of these just little nuggets he's dropped in.
I'm just taking it all in, You brought up cup. I was in a full cup. I was in the restaurant the other day, and a gentleman, we were talking about a fundraiser that we had just done, and I had 2 weeks ago, Derry and I both had a beard that was 6 to 9 inches longer than it is today.
Yeah.
And we shaved it off for the fundraiser and raised some money for this child. And it was a great event and loved it and the whole 9 yards. And he said something to me that has really kind of resonated to me. And I still hadn't figured out exactly what it meant, but I know the good Lord above is trying to help me figure it out, and I'll figure it out. But he kept saying that my cup was full. Yeah. And as much as I understand that, there's part of my brain and part of my soul that is just not happy with that. I'm not happy with having a full cup.
Yep.
And I don't know if God will show me what he's wanting to show me, and I'll figure that out. But I keep going back to the fact that I don't know if having a full cup is ever good enough. I kind of feel like it's if I walk into a room and I'm the smartest guy in the room, then I'm in the wrong room, right?
Yeah, I hear you.
If I got a full cup, then my cup ain't big enough.
Yeah, that's why I always go back to a half a cup, because I'm working on filling it up every day.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Well, I think that much of what you just said, it also gives you the opportunity to pour out into others.
Yeah.
And what can you share, whether it's, with you, with your employees or your children, or, with Minutes Wisely and the stuff that you're able to do there with the nonprofit, and just having that opportunity to pour out. The old saying, you can't pour from an empty cup. Well, to me, the flip side of that is, if you've got a full cup, you better be pouring out. Yeah. Like, you better be sharing, you better be giving, you better be, and we do, much like he said earlier, we have the opportunity to serve, we have the opportunity to give. And I think some of us are just blessed a little bit more to serve and give. And I think right now you're probably feeling a lot of where that's at. He's obviously been blessed with opportunities to give and to serve. And I think that there's an element to that where if somebody else can see it, you're doing it the right way. So don't overthink it. I will tell you that. Don't overthink it.
Don't fret about it, because I think your cup is full for a reason. And if some of that splashes out on some of us folks that need a drop of it, we're in pretty good shape.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I
had
would
an
agree
old
with
man
that.
tell me one time, he said, just be who you are every day. And he said, try to be good, try to make God proud, because you might be the only Jesus they ever see. You know,
Golly. Can we just take this whole episode and just every minute and a half a
About
clip,
every
just
minute,
send those
yeah.
out?
Yeah, just drop every minute and a half will be good.
That's going to be fantastic.
Now, when did you first make your appearance into network television?
oh, let me see, 93, maybe something like that.
93.
94. Yeah.
Okay.
And
then-
you know, go ahead, sir.
Oh, I was just going to ask. From then to now, has your opinion changed? Because it seems like, from my knowledge, is you did a lot of like cooking competition style shows, and then now you've kind of turned that more into the storytelling to help others, which just adds more into my cup and makes me feel wonderful,
Yeah.
because I love when people try to do stuff like that.
Well, I think when you're on any kind of competition, I mean, sure, you've got a chance to better yourself or worsen yourself, one or the other, depending on how they edit it, because a lot of times they'll put things in there you didn't even say.
That's right.
I learned that a long time ago, and had a producer tell me one time, she said, you're the only person I ever know that don't change when the camera comes by. I said, hell, I ain't changed socks in 3 weeks, so I ain't going to change nothing else, But when we can take something that we create and get it produced how we want it to be produced with our message, it is so much easier to relate to people, because they're not thinking, oh, he's going to talk some trash about this person, or he's going to say this about somebody. We're here to lift people up. I've always been taught in life, you never look down on people unless you're reaching a hand out there to help them up. It's there's so many people, and I don't mean this bad towards none of them, that in reality TV, to where when you're in an interview or something, well, what do you think was wrong with his food? I say, I'm not a judge. I'm a contestant. Or do you think they should? I said, you going to ask them questions all day long? They're going to be real short interviews. Hope you have a good day. I'll see you next week.
Real.
I don't know if I
short
answered your
interviews.
question or not.
That gives me some context for sure. Are you producing this show yourself?
No, the production company that we have, Rabbit Foot Productions, is they're based out of Austin. The main producer, Clay, is in California. But when we sat down and really knew what this was about, he didn't want to change a thing. The people at the Outdoor Channel, when they'll send a producer out, because they finish it in-house for them, and they know we're not going to change this. We're not going to take out the part to where he's got his hat off and he's praying over food around cowboys, or when he's got his hat tipped and he's saluting that flag. I trust them. They trust me to make this as good, wholesome, clean TV.
Yeah.
And I think the world needs a whole lot more of that. That's got a message in it. That's simplicity, authenticity, and hey, just everyday good time.
You talk about your hat here. What tells the better story, your hat or your boots?
Well, I have a hat that's in there in the house that I've had. My dad bought me 4 days before he died. I was fixing to go speak to these people at this deal, and he said, well, you ain't wearing that old hat you got. He said, I'm going to buy you a new hat. And me or him, neither one didn't have enough money to buy a hat at the time anyway. I don't know where he got it at, but that hat sits in the house. I wore it for 18 years straight. I'm pretty hard on hats. We call them a cowboy helmet most of the time, but it's a lot of blood, a lot of sweat, a lot of smoke. But I never judge a man from outward appearance. I judge a man with what's in his heart and the way he shakes your hand. Them people that give me one of them little fish hands,
Right. That dead fish is hard to handle, isn't it? Yeah.
I try to break their knuckles if I get a chance, But long time ago, we was leaving the house to go gather some cattle, and I was 9 or 10 years old, and sitting in there with my dad, and instead of turning and going towards the Red River, we turned and went the other direction. And I said, where are we going? He said, we're going to get help. He said, it's going to be a long day. So we wound down around this old pasture and go down the bottom of this old draw, and there's a lantern light you can just barely see in the darkness down there. And here comes an elderly old black man leading a white mule that's got on overalls and a conductor's cap. And you know, when you're young, your butt kicks in before your brain and your mouth should, you know. And I said, I've never seen that guy before. If he's going to be help, I hope it's good help. And my daddy reached over there and sort of grabbed me by the ear like he's going to pull it off. And he said, that man will teach you more about roping horses and cattle than anybody you've met. Never judge a man by the hat on his head, the boots on his feet, or whatever he's riding. And I never seen that man. We put cattle in a pen, and there's roping them, dragging fire to brand them. He roped all day long, over here, over there, underhanded, overhanded, never missed off that white mule. Me and him become dear friends. I called him Uncle Red from that day forward. We were horseback a lot, but hey, hats might tell a story. You know, I don't know. I think a thing that brings back a hat to me, I was on a airplane coming from Kamloops, British Columbia. I'd went up there to entertain for a festival one time and got back on there to fly to Seattle. And this young kid come down the aisle and he said, excuse me, sir. He said, you mind I sit here? And I said, no, sir, I don't mind at all. And I had my hat off. He's just sitting there on my knee. And he said, is that your hat? And I said, yes, sir. He said, I'm going to ask you a question. He said, I'm a philosophy major. And he said, I have to write a story for a midterm exam. Can I interview you? I said, I don't care. He said, how come do you take that hat off? I said, young feller, I said, you tip your hat to a lady. You always take your hat off when you go inside. You never put your hat on a bed. And I said, you never let somebody else wear it. I said, that is your prized possession. He said, okay. He said, what do you want wrote on your tombstone when you die? I said, nothing. He said, what do you mean nothing? I said, why go through life and not make a difference then for people to know about you before you die than to put something on a rock that's standing out there and say when you died? I said, make a difference before that time, not after that time. He said, do you mind if I write that down? I said, you write down anything you want to. I don't care. We got to Seattle, and he said, I sure do appreciate it. I said, that'll be $100. And he just looked at me. He said, oh, I didn't know it was going to cost anything. And I said, oh, you're all right. But, you know, hats and boots were something that were handed down to me for years. You know, I'd wear my oldest brother's boots when my feet got big enough. I never wore my dad's hat because I might have could have put it on and it fit, but I'd never been the man he was.
Oh, man. Man. Gosh, it makes
Cowboy,
me want to tear up.
you were just crushing the one-liners and all of the wisdom is just
it's
amazing.
The cowboy wisdom.
And along that sentiment, I have a question that I typically ask a lot of the business owners that come on the show, restaurateurs and leaders that we've had. If there was one piece of advice that you would say is the best advice that you've been given, what would you say that advice is?
Sit tall in the saddle. Never let go. I don't care if it's your last breath, the love of your life. Love every day like it's the last chance you got. Don't be afraid to tell somebody you love them. Don't be afraid to hug somebody. So many times in life, I think people go through it and they think, well, men aren't supposed to show emotion. You know, you can't just go tell somebody what you think about them. You never know when the good Lord going to call you home. You need to tell them today. You know, don't hesitate. That's what I tell people. Every day's a meal, every day's a holiday, and every meal's a banquet. Make sure you show up to wash your dishes and fill your plate.
I'm going to tell my kids that next time we have dinner at Grandma's, though. See if they agree.
Sit tall in the saddle.
Sit tall in the saddle. Sit tall in the saddle.
Outstanding.
It's been absolutely. I want to thank you for your wisdom today. I know that a lot of times you get just you're always in the middle of cooking or prepping or whatever, and from somebody who is a fan of the historical sides of things and just your approach. One thing that has not been lost on me today is your ability to recall events or things. And I think so many of us just go through our day without realizing those details. And to see your specifics on that, I've really enjoyed that. And I just want to thank you though for your wisdom. I know that a lot of your content around your social media is driven in that and that kind of thing. And just to tell you a direct thank you, I do appreciate it, because I think a lot of the world just needs that simplicity. And that's what it is. It's a simplicity that we don't see, whether we're plugged in or a screen is on or whatever it is. So just thank you for what you're out there doing, because it does make a difference to a lot of us.
We just having a good time every day. You know, we're going to keep life simple. It may not look simple at times, but it all fits. You know, you just run it around there somewhere that you can hem it up in a corner and then beat it into shape and put it in some. You know, and,
sounds like you spent time in the blacksmithing shop too. If I know some of that, so
yeah, and I've you know, in between cowboying and cooking on ranches and riding bulls and everything else, because my dad told me, he said, if you're going to be a cowboy, you better learn about 35 other professions or you're going to starve to death, you know.
Yep.
I built houses, built log homes, built cabinets, countertops, poured concrete, laid bricks, you know, drove front-end loader, maintainer, bulldozer. And I was on a ranch one time, and I won't keep y'all much longer. And this guy told me, he said, say, you know how to run a maintainer? And I said, yeah. He said, reckon after you get them dishes washed, you could just just smooth that road out. So I said, well, I reckon, you know.
Yeah.
So I smoothed the road out where they could back them big bull hauling trucks up there. About 3 days later, he come up there and he said, you know, we're going to put them cows in that trap over there, but it's full of mesquite. Can you run a bulldozer? And I said, yeah. He said, reckon you clean them mesquites off her? And I said, yeah. 3 days later, he wanted to know, he said, can you work on windmills? And I said, yeah. Well, 2 days after that, there was no man that's 96 years old come into camp, and he had been watching all this going on for 3 or 4 days. And he said, young fella, I'm going to tell you something. Sometime it pays to be stupid. And
yeah,
said,
there you
I'll
go.
remember that.
I think the easier way to say that is givers better have a limit because takers have none. So
that is true.
That's what you're looking at. We do a Friday feel good every week where I wrap it up, and I've tried to work it into this one. This is our good time to go ahead and do this. Excellent. Y'all may have heard of a guy named Tyler Childers, big in the music scene right now. Yeah. He had a thing this week, and I just had to, I wrote most of it down word for word. Hate is a bad chemical inside of you. You don't need that. The other person doesn't even know, and they don't care. It bothers them not nary a bit, but it does bother you, and it's killing you slowly. You got to get that shit out of there. Expel all that, and expel all that ugliness that you're holding on to. So y'all know what to do. Find somebody you know, tell them you love them, let the hate go. So there it is. So
I love it. Good deal. Well, Cowboy, man, I appreciate you more than you can imagine. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with us for a little bit.
My pleasure. And like I say, you email me, my friend. We'll try to work that in.
I definitely will. Y'all make sure you check out your show, the new show, which the title of it is
Cast Iron Cowboy.
Iron Cowboy. It's on the
Outdoor Channel, 8:30 Central. I think on Monday night.
Nice.
Excellent.
I love it.
Socials, Cowboy Kent Rollins. Is that easy way? Okay. We just want to make sure everybody can reach out to you.
Yeah. Make sure you follow my man. You won't be disappointed in his content. It's excellent. He's got some pretty good recipes.
He's got a fantastic cat head biscuit recipe.
Just perfect.
Vouching. So that's.
I can't wait. I'm gonna have to go home and make some.
There you go.
Just to have them. But look, we appreciate you joining us,
My
guys.
pleasure.
If you want to get involved with our show, please feel free to reach out to me. You can reach me at charlie@singletreebbq.com. If you want to call me at 615-307-0120. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And until next time, guys, we'll see you then.
Y'all be good.
Take care.
Thank you, Cowboy Kent. Appreciate it.
God bless y'all.
You too.
Thanks for joining us today. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And as always, leave us a 5-star review and come see us at the restaurant.